Hello everyone and welcome! Today I've got another update on this 1/24 scale shop that I've been slowly building up for quite some time now. It's hard to believe it's been 3 years since I posted the last update featuring this display, but regardless, I'm back with some new 3D printable accessories that I'm excited to share with all of you. The shop has proven to be a great place to photograph many of the micro-scale RC cars that I've built, as well as a great place to show off all of these tools and accessories I've designed, which are available for sale on our website, linked below in the description. I'll leave a link to the video playlist below in the description as well if you want to see some of the prior videos I've made featuring this shop. But without further introductions, let me show you the little projects that I've been working on over this past week to enhance this 1/24 scale shop. If you've been following this channel for a while now, you may recall a video that I posted earlier this year where I built this 1/24 scale garage diorama. It's much smaller in size and sort of a different theme than what I'm going for with this scale shop. However, it was a very fun project and I'm really happy with the final result. I would definitely recommend checking out that video after this one. If you like this project, I think you're going to enjoy that one as well. For that project, I designed several new scale shop accessories, including things like a 5-level steel shelf and these rolling stools. Naturally, many of those items that I designed for that diorama will be making their way into this one as well. I still wanted to design a few new items though, starting with a sandblasting cabinet. These are a common sight in many shops, particularly ones that do restoration work or painting. High-pressure air blows an abrasive such as sand to remove rust, paint, or other contaminants from a part. This item was requested by a customer. I chose a popular real-world design to reference while modeling a simplified 1/24 scale replica. I did my best to add enough details so that you know what it is, but also keep it relatively simple so it will be easy to 3D print. All of the parts that you'll see today were designed using Autodesk Fusion 360. The second item I'll be designing is even more simple to model, and it's a very common sight throughout many real-world shops. I modeled one of those utility carts made from a strong plastic material. Metal utility carts are certainly popular as well, though it seems the steel walls on those tend to be thinner than the plastic ones, which I was afraid would be more difficult to 3D print and not as strong in such a small scale. To make this cart easier to 3D print, I've separated it into 2 pieces, which will be glued together. The wheels will also be printed and glued on separately. To add a bit more strength and to help align the top and bottom sections, steel rods will be placed into each one of the legs. With the design work complete, I moved on to 3D printing these items, as well as some of the items that I designed prior. With a bit of paint, these are really going to look the part, so I did any necessary assembly and sanding before getting each one of these items painted. I simply used some Rust-Oleum spray paint. Later I'll be adding some additional detail by hand. I did experiment with this textured black Rust-Oleum paint to try and somewhat replicate the sort of textured, swirly plastic look many of these rolling utility carts have. Not necessarily an exact duplicate of what you see on the real thing, but I do think the overall look is pretty cool. I did a quick wash with some watered down black acrylic paint, and I then used a chrome pen to add a bit of detail to the caster wheels before gluing them to the bottom. Really happy with how these utility carts turned out. They're a bit empty at the moment, but over time I plan on adding a bunch of items like tools and parts. Some very simple weathering techniques and basic art supplies can go a long way to giving accessories such as these 5-level shelves a used look. They look pretty good just with a coat of some aluminum paint, but a black wash and some dark colored pastels, weathering powder, or really whatever you have on hand can really make them look a bit more convincing. Add some stains, add some scratches. It's a fun process and you can achieve a variety of different results. These shelves here will look great placed along the walls of the shop, and over time I can add car parts, cardboard boxes, and many other items to add some more detail. To help make this blasting cabinet look more like the real thing, I simply used some Sharpie markers to add a bit more detail, and I also hand painted a few sections as well. I used some smaller gauge electrical wire for the power cord and air hose, and I cut a small piece of clear plastic to use as the window. No worries about that super glue forming a white haze, that just adds to the authenticity. I did just a little subtle weathering in a few spots, but I didn't want to make it look nearly as dirty as the shelves. What a difference some painting and detail makes. A very simple item, but it will look fantastic as a part of the shop. Since I set this diorama up in a way that suggests that the body shop and paint booths would be in a separate area of the building behind this overhead door, as I've seen similar arrangements in some high-dollar race shops and auto restoration facilities, it would probably make a little more sense for the sandblasting equipment to be over there, but for now I'm just going to put it here in this back corner to show it off. I had a few additional items that I had already 3D printed earlier, which I added a bit of detail to before putting each item in the shop. This stool uses a steel rod to connect the upper and lower half. The caster wheels are pretty small, making them a bit of a pain to glue to the bottom, but once complete, these stools are yet another nice looking detail to add to the shop. I'm happy with how all of these parts turned out, but now I want to make something a little more unique. There's this bare area on the wall over here, and for a while now I've been thinking about adding some banners and signs, which would be pretty typical for most shops. However, I thought I'd do something a little more unique. I thought it would be cool to mount the front end of a car to the wall, sort of to give the impression that it had crashed through it. I've seen some similar arrangements before and thought it would be kind of a cool novelty to add to the shop. While this could certainly be achieved by simply taking a 1/24 scale plastic model kit and slicing the body, it's sort of a waste of a kit. So instead, I purchased the 3D print files for a 1969 Chevy Nova that is designed to be 3D printed and then assembled just like a model kit. I'll leave a link to where I purchased the files below in the description. There are a large number of different cars available from this designer as well, beyond the Nova that you see here. Instead of wasting material and a good model kit, I digitally cut the car where I wanted, before 3D printing the body, grille, and front bumper. This model shows some nice detail and is reasonably priced. I'd certainly recommend this seller, and I may use one of their car bodies for a future project. For now though, I've got the front end of this Nova 3D printed, so I removed all of the supports and did some sanding. I also made some holes in the front headlights so I could stick some functional LEDs in their place. After that, I applied the primer and paint. Once the paint had dried, I hand painted and used a Sharpie to add the remaining details. I began gluing the car together and testing out the headlights. Rather than 3D printing some wheels and tires, I used a couple that I already had on hand. With that done, the Nova is complete. Well, maybe not technically complete, but you know what I mean. I printed an image of a hole in the wall onto some sticker paper, which will go behind the Nova. I cut out this sticker and stuck it on the wall. I then drilled a hole so the connector for the headlights can fit through it. Finally, I glued the body into place on the wall. What a wild decoration. I'm really pleased with how it came out. At some point, I may get some of the paint that I used to paint the walls and sort of blend in that decal a little better. Other than that, it looks great. I came across some clocks that I printed for the last diorama build, so I cut one out and stuck it above the door. It's always fun getting a chance to work on this scale shop, and I think these new items that I added today turned out looking great. It's a gradual process, but it keeps looking better with each video. If you're interested in doing a similar build, be sure to check out our website, linked below in the description, where you'll find many of these items that you see in the shop available for sale. Many STL files are also available on our Patreon page, once again linked below in the description. If there's a particular shop item you'd like to see me make in the next video, let me know below in the comments. But that's going to be all for today's video. As always, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.